Because in today's digital age that we live in, the most under-practiced instrument in the world has to be the human voice. Hello and welcome to the Bears and Lions podcast. This is the podcast where we challenge our present by viewing our past. I'm a firm believer that our greatest future lies within the correct view of our past, because when you actually look at it, you're going to see, there was probably a lot of things you went through, but there's a lot of things you overcame, and that should show you that you are so much stronger than you could possibly imagine and give you confidence to step into the future. Today's conversation, I just kind of had some things on my heart that I wanted to share about communication and some things that I've learned, some things that I've been seeing in society lately. And I just wanted to make sure that I shared my heart with that. So I hope you enjoy that. I did want to let you guys know as well that the next episode is going to be Sunday at 9 a.m. We have a very special guest session with Jason Prill, who is the play-by-play announcer for the minor league Lynchburg Hillcats, which is the single A minor league team for the Cleveland Guardians. So if you have baseball people in your life, or if you just want to listen, this conversation was extremely enriching. He kind of shared about storytelling and things like that, some of the skill set of communication, and it was just an extreme joy for me to talk with him. And I really hope you will tune into that on Sunday. But for everybody, I will see you on the other side of this conversation. You know, I've started seeing a trend over the last few years about communication. And it's this trend to not use a particular instrument that everybody has, right? Because in today's digital age that we live in, the most under-practiced instrument in the world has to be the human voice. If you look at just how people have gone from talking on the phone, or even prior to that, talking in person and then talking on the phone, and now everything's over text. So everybody, is texting more than they're talking on the phone. I remember I called a girl one time. I got her number and I called her. I didn't text her first. I called her and she was like, "Hey, what's going on? Is everything okay? Like, what's happening?" And I said, "I just figured I'd call you." And she was like, "I'd prefer to text." And it was actually like the biggest turnoff, but it also was one of the most confusing things where I recognized that there is like a big shift that's happening where people are not wanting to talk. They're like out loud. And if you look at that and how relational all of humans are, we're very relational. We're a very communication, right? Everywhere you go, if you're looking in business or relationship, what's key, right? Everybody will agree. Communication is key. But how do you get good at communication? I've seen a lot of people who are leaning away from communicating. They're leaning away from it. My last job that I worked in was in customer service, and 90% of the people that went through the training with me into that job, I remember they were all like, I don't really want to talk to people. How much are we talking to people in this job? It's a customer service job. We're always talking to people. That's the job. I remember like 3 people in particular were specifically, they were like, I want a job where I just don't have to talk to anybody. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, wait a second, that's maybe less than 1% of the workforce in the US is completely digital, non-talking to anybody. Because even if you work in like a digital realm, you're still probably talking to your immediate boss or your coworkers, or in some way, shape, or form. I'm sure that there are some where you don't have interaction. So that's why I say less than 1%, because everywhere that you go, service, line work, any trade, anything like that, you're always going to be communicating with people. But furthermore, if you look at it from a standpoint of relational, no matter what, every relationship in your life, you are going to talk at some point in time. It's why language is so important. It's why that's the first thing that babies learn, right? The babies will learn different sounds, make different things, and then all of a sudden they hear mama, dada. But they learn it because they can hear it. Even from inside the womb, they can recognize the mother or father's voice, which is really fascinating if you look at how that process goes through. So communication is so important, yet our generation, or this generation that we're in, tends to be leaning away from it in the skills sense of it. Because I hear a lot of people, they'll use like talk to text, right, when they're driving, which is great. Hands-free driving. I'm not encouraging anybody to ever text and drive. But I hear a lot of people use talk to text, But then I've talked to a lot of people, and more often than not, they use text to talk, right? Have you ever heard someone say LOL out loud, like in a reply to something funny? Every time I hear that, I lose my mind. Like, I'm so confused because LOL, which means laugh out loud, right? Instead of laughing at a joke, they would rather say LOL. Like, people don't even know how to laugh out loud anymore. And it's something that I, as somebody who studied communication, I just wanted to take a moment and talk about is when is the last time that you really had a conversation with somebody and you walked away and said, man, I'm so glad I had that conversation. That was such a good conversation, right? There's something about it from inside of us that we get so excited because I truly believe that we were designed to be relational. We were designed to communicate. We were designed to expand our communication and be in relationship with each other. So friendships. And I ask you when that last time was because you may be in a moment in your job where you need to have the skill set of communication to be able to go for that next promotion. You may be going through something really difficult in a relationship right now, and you need to have the skill set to have that difficult conversation. And I've seen so many people who lack the skill sets of communication that they will just drag on drama and drag on things because they don't want to address it. And they'll be like, yeah, I don't really like the way she treats me here, but I'll get over it. It's easier to just push it to the side than to actually have the conversation and grow. Because a lot of people, what they end up doing is instead of having a calm conversation with the skills of communication, what they do is they revert and resort to volume and yelling or painful moments of screaming or upset, and they bottle everything up until it just explodes, and then it's everybody's super mad. But if you have the skill set of communication, you learn very quickly that you can have conversations firm and calm at the same time. What that does is it builds trust. And if you've ever been in a conversation with somebody who's been upset with you, but they've done it in such an incredible, calm way where they've been firm, they haven't raised their voice, but they were firm and calm. Hey, I want you to know that you hurt my feelings the way that you acted, or what you said hurt my feelings. Calm and direct. But it's firm, right? It's not, you hurt my feelings. How dare you do that? No, it's not getting upset and screaming. It's using the skill set of communication to be firm, right? And it builds that trust where when you have a real deep conversation or a very important conversation with somebody, if you build that trust with them, then they know, oh, I can talk to Joe, or I could talk to Jared, or I could talk to Kyle about this. I could talk to Steve. There's different things about it where it builds that confidence in the people around you. Because how many people around you want to talk to you not because you're going to side with them or anything like that. Like, it's not a resounding echo chamber, but you're somebody who I need to have a real conversation, and I know that they're going to give it to me straight. And I know that they're not going to get loud, but they're going to be firm and calm. I want people to know that they can come and talk to me, and I'm not going to be, hey, I can't believe you did that. What in the world? I may be firm. I may be disappointed. Why did you do what you did? What drove you to that point? Right? I want to ask good questions, and that's a skill set that I've learned through communication. I've spent the last probably 10, 15 years studying communication. I did voice lessons when I was in college, when I was doing radio, and I did radio for 3 years, and that really helped out. And broadcasting I went to school for, but I didn't really, when I say I went to school for, I did a lot of journalism and I did a lot of digital media classes, like to be on the news. It doesn't mean I did like acting, but I did broadcasting to practice communicating in a sense of, I hope that when I'm talking, I'm not just filling the ethos with blabbering nothingness. I hope when you listen to me, you get information that challenges you, that's thoughtful, that's interesting, and that makes you walk away saying, you know what, maybe I want to try that. I have people like that in my life who are mentors to me, and areas that I have grown from because I know them. There's a guy on the internet. I've been watching his YouTube videos and his social media posts for years now. His name's Vin Jiang. That's Vinh and then Jiang, Giang. He's a keynote speaker, a communication skills coach, which that's why I love him so much. But he's also a magician, and he's fantastic at teaching people how to use their voice to communicate in powerful ways. So whether you're having to speak in a event, or if you're just speaking to your loved one and you want to get a point across, or you want to enrich the conversation where it's more than just, what are you doing? I don't know. How's it going? That's good. It's all right. It's whatever. Right? Like so many people, they use that text speech, right? Where you at? How you doing? What up? But you can enrich a conversation by going deeper. Hey, how have you been feeling lately about work? Do you feel fulfilled in your job? Do you feel fulfilled in your studies? Is there anything that I can do to enrich your life? What can we talk about that would make you excited? Right? There's conversations that you can use communication to impact and drive people into a positive and a joyous void where a lot of people are just floating, where they're, they feel isolated, to be, honest. I've been in that position over COVID. Right after COVID in 2021, I had some incredible friends, but I had a lot of digital friends. And I had some incredible people that I met, and I am not talking bad about any of them because I love them dearly. Even to this day, I'd do anything for them. But because we were so spread out digitally, I went through this darkness where everything was just kind of like, yo, what up? I'm existing. And I had a couple of people who tried to have real conversations with me, and now I look back and I'm like, man, I really am glad I had those good people to have those conversations. Some of them came out of nowhere, because how in the world was I going to meet people by going to a gym that was closed down? And one of the skill sets that I've learned in listening to Vin Jiang and his information is how to practice my voice. I love what he says. He always says, if we want to get better at communicating, then we have to essentially hit the vocal gym and work out our voice. And Vin will have you do a bunch of warm-ups and different flutters and things like that. But you have to get out of your comfort zone, and you have to have conversations with people out of the ordinary so that you can get into an in-depth conversation about something that you haven't heard 100 times. So instead of asking your friend, hey, let's go hang out and have a conversation, maybe you go to a different coffee shop and you see somebody sitting there and you just say, hey, I have a weird question, but I'm really trying to become a little bit more outgoing and practice communicating. Do you have 5 minutes to talk really quick? We can just talk about life. What do you do? You would be surprised how often I've had some incredible conversations just because I wanted to practice communicating. So I would see somebody and I'd say, hey, I like your dog. Or what type of dog is that? Or even the other day, there was this beautiful, beautiful puppy at my apartment complex. I was like, oh my gosh, sir, you have the most gorgeous dog. He's like, oh, thanks. We talked a little bit about that. I was like, man, what do you do? And we kind of exchanged some things, and I told him what I was doing here, and he was like, that's so cool. And I'm excited because every time I see them now, it's, hey, how's it going? His dog's name's Buster, which was my dog's name growing up as well. So there's like a connection. There's just so many different times in my life where that skill set of communication is paying in dividends, and I know it will pay even more. So maybe if I can do anything with this conversation today, it's to challenge you to enrich the skills of communication. Go deeper, go past the point of, what's up? I don't know. What's up? Nothing much. Want to grab a bite? Sure. Want to talk about Friends again? Do you want to talk about the new TV show, the Super Bowl? Do you want to talk about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift? Like, whatever it is, get to that point and then go past that. How are you feeling about your relationship with your family right now? I remember you were going through some stuff. How's your communication with your spouse going? Do you have like deep conversations with your spouse? What's some of the things that you've been really excited that you've talked about lately? And those are hard questions. It's not like it's easy, but the more you practice them, the better you're going to get. And I promise you this, if I can promise you anything, it's going to be that the more practice you put into communication and the better you get in communication, the more rich your life will be. Because no matter where you go, you will make friends. Friends and people love to hear and be close to people when you have somebody who's willing to have a conversation with you. I can't tell you how many times I've sat alone and somebody has had the boldness to come talk to me. And I was like, man, I'm so glad that they came and talked to me and got me out of my funk. So I don't really have anything today on the podcast other than that. I really was thinking about it a lot just because I've been having a lot of conversations about communication, and communication is key. But then there's this flip side where I just keep seeing people run away from communication. I really hope that you will be encouraged by that. I hope you'll be challenged to enrich your communication over the next few weeks and practice some things. Maybe go up to a stranger once a week and just say, hey, I need to practice communication. Do you have 2 minutes? I just want to ask you a couple questions. How are you doing? My name's Kyle. What's your name? People tend to be pretty open when you do that. I've learned that it helps them as well. Maybe they're the person who just needs somebody to talk to. You never know. You absolutely never know. That's going to do it for this conversation. We have something really special coming up this Sunday. We have our guest session podcast we do once a month. And this month, we have Jason Prill, who's the broadcast play-by-play for the Lynchburg Hillcats, which is the single A Major League Baseball team. They're the minor league baseball team, single A, but they're single A to the Cleveland Guardians, which is the Major League Baseball team. So he has some incredible insight into broadcasting and storytelling. And we also went to school together, so we have some fun throwbacks and different things that we did. But he is such an incredible guy. It's been a few years since we've talked or chatted or caught up. So it was a really good conversation that enriched my life. And I really hope it'll enrich your life. That'll be this Sunday at 9 a.m. You're going to want to listen to it. So make sure that you hit that like and subscribe button on all social medias. If you're listening on Spotify or iTunes, hit that follow button and keep an eye on Sunday. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much. Hit that like and subscribe, like I said, and share this with a friend or two. If you've got baseball people in your life, you're going to definitely want to share this with them for Sunday. For everybody else, if you want to find me on my socials, I'm at Kyle Vaught on TikTok and X. And on Instagram, I'm Kyle_Vaught. That's V as in Victor, A-T-T is my last name. So Kyle, K-Y-L-E, V as in Victor, A-T-T. That's my handle. I really appreciate all of you. I know today was just a little bit shorter, but we've got the guest session on Sunday, and the next week is going to be really big. I cannot wait for everything moving forward. I hope you have a wonderful week and a wonderful weekend. Remember to give grace, show love, and as always, stay stellar. Peace.